The rain had just stopped, leaving a cool, shimmering veil over the city. I stood under the glass canopy of the Pure Caf, my breath fogging up the window. Through the glass, I could see my own reflection, a blurry outline of a person caught somewhere between a beginning and an end. Inside, she was laughing. Her laugh was the first thing I fell in love with, so light and unpredictable, like sunshine breaking through a storm cloud. But tonight, hearing it felt different. It carried a weight that settled deep in my chest. How did we get here? How did our love story, once so vibrant and full of fire, find itself stuck in this quiet, painful limbo? Our relationship had always been a roller coaster. Fast, thrilling, and absolutely dizzying. We'd fight with a passion that could set a room on fire, and then we'd kiss with a desperation that felt like we were trying to piece each other back together. We loved as if tomorrow was a promise neither of us could really keep. This caf, the Pure Caf, it used to be our sanctuary. It was the backdrop for our first date, the silent witness to our silly arguments over who loved whom more, and the keeper of secrets from stolen kisses behind the coffee counter. But now, standing outside, it felt like the final stop on our wild ride, the moment where one of us had to get off. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open, the little bell above it chiming softly. Air turned, and her face broke into that familiar, beautiful half-smile that always made my heart skip a beat. "You're late," she said, her voice a soft melody as she brushed a stray strand of dark hair behind her ear. Her eyes, the color of warm honey, held a story I couldn't quite read. I slid into the chair opposite her. "You ordered for me?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Of course," she replied, sliding a warm mug across the polished wooden table. "You still take it with way too much sugar." We both laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that hangs in the air, thick with all the words we were too scared to say. I picked up the small spoon and stirred my drink, watching the foam swirl into a delicate pattern. It was a distraction, a way to anchor myself before the storm. I started, my voice trembling just enough to betray my calm exterior. "Why does this feel like a goodbye?" She leaned back in her chair, the dim calf lights reflecting in her glistening eyes. She didn't look away. "Because maybe it is," she whispered, and the words, though quiet, hit me like a physical blow. "We keep trying to fix something that's already cracked." Loft. I looked down at my hands, clasped tightly around the warm mug. "Cracked doesn't mean broken," I argued, my voice barely above a whisper. Her gaze softened with a familiar sadness. "Sometimes it does." The silence that followed was deafening. It was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Outside, the world kept moving. Cars rushed past, their headlights cutting through the evening gloom. Raindrops began to trace new paths down the window panes. But inside our little booth, time seemed to stand still. All I wanted to do was reach across the table, to take her hand and feel the warmth of her skin against mine. I wanted to rewind time, to remind her of all the moments that made us us. The late-night drives with the windows down, singing off-key to our favorite songs. The stolen kisses in crowded rooms that felt like our own private world. The simple, profound comfort of waking up beside her. The morning light painting stripes across our tangled limbs. Air sighed, pulling me from my memories. "You know," she began, her voice cracking slightly, "when I first met you, right here in this caf, you were so sure of everything. You knew exactly what you wanted. You walked in and your confidence filled the entire room. And now," she trailed off, her eyes searching mine. "Now you look like you're afraid of wanting me." Her words pierced right through me because they were true. My heart tightened in my chest. "I'm not afraid of wanting you," I confessed, the truth finally spilling out. "I'm terrified of losing you." She looked at me for a long, long moment, a thousand emotions flickering in her eyes. "Then why do we keep hurting each other?" she asked, her voice raw. I didn't have an answer. I had nothing but the chaotic, beautiful, messy love that we'd built and broken and built again. Maybe love like ours, so wild and all-consuming, wasn't meant to be easy. But when did the trust start to falter? When did the silence between us grow louder than our affection? I just knew I wasn't ready to let go. "I don't want this to end," I whispered, the words feeling fragile and small in the heavy air. A faint, bittersweet smile touched Air's lips, and I saw a tear glimmer at the corner of her eye. "Then let's not end it," she said, her voice gaining a sliver of strength. "Let's start again. Just slower this time, more carefully." My eyes locked with hers, and in their depths, I saw it, a tiny spark flickering back to life, a glimmer of the fire we once shared. "Hello again?" I asked, a hopeful tremor in my voice. She nodded, her smile growing a little wider, a little more real. Hello again. It felt like a promise. I finally reached across the table, my fingers gently brushing against hers. It felt like the very first time we'd touched, tentative, trembling, and so full of hope. In that simple contact, years of tension and hurt seemed to melt away, replaced by the quiet, steady warmth of something real, something worth fighting for. Then, slowly, Air stood up. She walked around the table and stopped in front of me. With a gentle hand, she lifted my chin, and our breaths mingled in the small space between us. My heart was racing, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs. For a moment, everything else faded into the background, the confusion, the hurt, the endless doubts. All that remained was this undeniable, magnetic pull between us. Her lips met mine in a soft, lingering kiss. It wasn't a kiss of desperation or passion, but one that spoke of both endings and new beginnings. It was a kiss that said, after everything, I still choose you. When we finally pulled away, the calf lights seemed to flicker a little brighter. Outside, the rain had started again, but this time, it didn't feel sad or heavy. It felt cleansing, like it was washing the city and us clean. I smiled through the tears that were now freely streaming down my face. You and me, we're a roller coaster. Air laughed softly, that beautiful sound that I loved so much, and rested her forehead against mine. Then let's hold on tight, she whispered. As we stood there, wrapped in the quiet hum of the city and the warmth of our reunion, we both knew. We knew that love isn't perfect. It's chaos and calm, pain and joy. It's a constant dance between goodbye and hello. And maybe, just maybe, being caught in between was where our love truly lived. Thank you so much for listening to our story. If you've ever felt caught between a goodbye and a hello, know that you're not alone. Sometimes the most beautiful things are found in the spaces in between. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. We'll see you in the next one.